Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Shane Sikora, MD of Rumble Resources, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the Rumble story. Why invest in Rumble? We believe we've got four key pillars within the business. The first pillar I think is important for an exploration company is a clear strategy. And our strategy is building a pipeline of projects, critically reviewing against stringent criteria. We've looked at over 500 projects to get to the point where we are right now. But what we do is low-cost optionality over a period of 4 years. We give ourselves 1 year to test these targets. Discovery history, we got Brett Keeler, discovered seven significant deposits that turned into mines. Prospect of the year twice, only two other people that have done that in his life, and 30 years of company making assets for IGO and Resolute. Was part of the initial founding stages of that business from 5 cents all the way through to $9, so very successful junior explorer. Fully funded, we got some funding in the bank. All our projects are low cost to test for discovery, and our near-term catalysts, we have 4 projects to be drill tested, and 4 projects are currently getting drill targeted. So when we put this strategy in place in 2017, raised money at 5 mil at 2017, we've optioned up 5 new projects, we've got 1 strategic application, we've advanced all 6 towards drilling. We had a zinc discovery at Brayside in our first drill program. We have a copper gold discovery in our second program at Munarra Gully. To a point now, within the first 6 months this year, we're drill testing 4 of those projects and drill targeting another 4. Most of our projects are in Western Australia in a great jurisdiction. The other area is in the Sudbury district in Canada, which has produced over 1.7 billion tonnes of metal, has a couple of nickel smelters and a refinery. So a great jurisdiction to be operating in. Our first project is the Munarra Gully project, the one I mentioned before. In our first drill program, we have a significant discovery hitting 22 metres at 1% copper with 18 metres of 2.2 grams of gold. We have since extended that discovery to over 800 metres of strike. What's significant about this project is it has similarities to some large-scale deposits in South Africa and Brazil, where they produce 97 million tonnes at 2%. And the reasons it's significant, it has high copper to nickel ratios, high silver and gold, and low sulphur. So what we're about to do in this next phase of drilling is actually look to extend the 800 metres of strike. As you'll see in the bottom image, we actually have the southwest strike extent that goes over 8 kilometres. We're going to be air coring that all the way through to the top project, which is the White Rose, and hopefully what we can find is significant discovery. The Earaheedy zinc project is one of our flagship targets. This had been explored by previous groups in the past. It has over 20 kilometres of mineralisation, up to 4 kilometres wide. And what they were looking was for some flat-lying deposits. We've since put together some modern geophysical targeting where we've actually identified 6 gravity targets along an interpreted fault structure. And what's significant about that is that each one of those targets sits on the actual fault structure. It's at the same angle as the fault structure. All the base metals that's been discovered to date sits at the same depth of these gravity features. And more importantly, when we did the 3D modelling of these targets, not one drill hole had actually hit that target. So we're about to explore that one in the second week of April. Our next round of projects is in the Sudbury district. As you may or may not be aware, produced 1.7 billion tonnes of nickel, second largest in the world. It was discovered when a meteorite hit the Sudbury Basin, elevated all the base metal around this elliptical ring. And now what they're doing, if you look at the image, is they're focused on the Copper Cliff offset dike and the Victoria offset dike. So they're working away from the major areas, systematically working away from there, making significant discoveries. What we feel we've got is the potential of the Copper Cliff offset dike. The Copper Cliff offset dike itself has actually produced 200 million tonnes, and the group before us was targeting the Long Lake gold mine, and they did a regional VTAM program, and they found an anomaly 19. They drill tested at anomaly 19 and didn't find the gold they were looking for, but subsequently a specialist in the field looked at the work done by this group and found it had quartz diorite and Sudbury breccia and the same geochemistry as what you find in the Sudbury Basin. So you can see our technical director Brett Keeler on the right-hand side image, standing on top of the quartz or Sudbury breccia. That's 300 metres wide times 4 kilometres of strike. So we're about to do a high-powered EM survey over that area. We already know there's a VTEM conductor that hasn't been tested before. If we find a strong conductor below that target, then it's re-rates us with a significant target within the Sudbury Basin. Just recently, we also operated on the Panache project, which is a different type of project. As you'll see, the vendor previously did quite a bit of rock chipping and soil sampling throughout the project and found 3 key areas in area A, B, and C. And if you look at the bottom right-hand image, that's our technical director, Bet, standing on a 10-metre wide gossan that goes over 950 metres. And the rock chipping there had copper, cobalt, nickel, gold, and PGMs. And so what we recently did was a ground EM survey over the whole area, and we found 2 coincident conductors side by side, 40 metres down. So as of June, we're going to be going back out there and drilling these targets. Very compelling targets. There's never been any systematic exploration on this project before. No ground EM and no drilling. The Braeside project, we'd say, is our flagship project. When we got this one initially, it was a historic high-grade lead mine that operated from 1901 to 1959. Had a series of discoveries along the actual structure, but no historic drilling or geophysical targeting. And since then, we've conducted 2 rounds of RC drilling, and what we think we found is a porphyry to epithermal system on surface. And as you see on the image there, we think the epithermal system is out to the far east, and as you go away to the west, we think on that western margin is the porphyry target. So what we're going to be focusing on in this next round of exploration is flying some airborne magnetics along the 14 kilometres of strike. We're going to do some regional soil sampling along that project, along that edge, and then we're going to do some RC drilling. And if we can actually get some significant widths of copper gold in that next round of drilling, it's going to significantly upgrade the project to the next level. We've actually got the Barramine project, which is the northern part of that project as well, and we've done some regional soil sampling recently, which actually highlighted the mineralisation carries on from 34 kilometres of mineralisation all the way through to 60 kilometres. So that's just the extension of that. The Lamil project is a project which is quite topical at the moment. We were looking in the Paterson province because our Braeside project is 70 kilometres out to the west of this area. And before the Wiluna discovery, which was recently announced by Rio, we picked this up. Subsequently, 3 hours later, Rio tried to peg over the top of it. We're just currently at the stage where we're doing some work on some open file to see if there's been any historic exploration. We've just flown an airborne magnetic program over the area, and from what we can see, we're seeing some pretty nice targets and hasn't been a lot of exploration. So very exciting targets. In the next few weeks, that should be coming out. Being a junior explorer, it's difficult to operate in a space where there's lots of cover, lots of red herrings, lithophytic shales. We had the Fraser range assets over for the last sort of 4 years. We quickly discovered that it was too expensive for us to operate. We subsequently did some work with, did a joint venture with IGO, who are spending over $50 million in that whole region looking for the next Nova. If they successfully earn in, we keep 30% of the project. So I've obviously gone through a little bit quickly today because there's a lot to cover, but I think our investment summary is pretty compelling for a junior explorer. Pipeline of projects, we have a successful technical director who's done it before, low-cost optionality to test for discovery, and what I think the real important thing is that the near-term catalyst for a significant re-rating. We're drill targeting the ground EM at Long Lake. If we find a significant conductor in the Sudbury Basin, Copper Cliff offset, that's a significant drill target. We're drill targeting the Lamil project, which hosts obviously the Wiluna Rio discovery. We're following up our regional porphyry epithermal scale system at Braeside and Barramine. We're following up our copper gold discovery at Munarra Gully, which starts about the 1st of April. We're then drilling the binary targets at Earaheedy, those 6 big gravity anomalies sitting in the right structure. We're then following up the Panache conductors that are sitting 40 metres below a gossan running at 950 metres. That's it, guys.